Hi, in this video we will create context for currently opened chat room using useContextSelector package. Before we begin, let's explore how everything is going to be handled. Right now, there is rooms context that wraps the entire homepage. Context data is chat room list with real-time subscription. It means that if anything changes in any of room, context value will be updated. Inside chat.js, rooms context is being consumed. So any update to any room will cause a re-render to currently opened chat page, even though the update hasn't been related to it. Therefore, inside chat.js, we will provide a new context that we will name current room context, and we're gonna pass currently opened room data. For this context, we're gonna use useContextSelector. Imagine a situation when currently opened room name is updated. It will create a render for currently opened room, and values that we will pass to current room context will also be updated. There is a component that consumes current room context, and it displays only description, not name. Because of useContextSelector, that component will not be re-rendered. Changes will affect only the component that displays name. Okay, let's put everything into practice. I already opened official GitHub webpage for useContextSelector package, and if I scroll down from installation part, I can see that I need to copy this command. So let's do it. Let's navigate back to code, and inside integrated terminal, I'm gonna execute it. And let's wait until it is installed. Perfect, the package is there. Now let's run the app. And let's navigate back to the documentation. So from the usage part, we can see that it is actually no different from how we use normal create context. So let's navigate back to code, and here under context folder, let's create new file that we will name current room context.js. Here we're gonna create current room context, and we're gonna use create context, the one that comes from, not from React, let's convert it to ES6 module, and from useContextSelector. Alright, so next part is going to be to create the provider component. So let's put export const current room provider. So it will receive children, and then also it will receive data. So it will carry some data that we will pass to this provider. So here we're gonna return current room context dot provider, and we're gonna put children there, and for value we're gonna pass data. So provider component is going to be like a middleman. All right, so if we hover, React must be in scope. So let's import React from React. All right, good. Now let's actually see how can we select some data from here. So we need to use useContextSelector, then we need to provide context that we want to consume, and then we provide the callback that will pick our value, where argument is our current state. So let's navigate a little bit down. From here we can see that we can actually use it like this. So let's copy this, and let's put it here in current room context. So what we will do, we will turn it into our own custom hook. Let's import useContextSelector from the package itself, and then we're gonna turn it into a hook. So let's convert it to a function, and instead of first name, we're gonna use useCurrentRoom. And let's also export it. And for this useCurrentRoom, we will only pass selector. So let's pass selector here, and instead of person context, we're gonna put current room context, and for selector, we're gonna provide selector. We are ready here. Now let's navigate back to our chat page, and here instead of this empty brackets, instead of React fragment, let's use this provider. So we're gonna put current room provider, and we need to pass data that we will put to this context. So let's put data, and for data, we will create an object that we will name, let's say, current room data. So here we're gonna create this object, and here we're gonna pass next values. So from our current room, we're gonna pick name and description by destructuring the values. And then we're gonna pass name and description to current room data that we will pass to the context. All right. So if we save it and if we save everything here, now if we go back to our app, nothing actually will be changed. However, if let's say we go to chat top, here we're gonna use current room hook that we created. Then let's maybe select a name, and for selector we're gonna pass state, and from state we're gonna pick name, or maybe not state, let's just put v for value like this. And now instead of top, let's display this name from the context. All right, so if I save it, if I refresh, I can see hello, the room name that we passed to the context. And if I switch, it will be changed. So this is it. This is how we can actually pick values from context. And it is also very important to note that these values that we pick from the state, that we pick from the context, it is important to understand that we can't select objects because objects are compared by references. And if we open the documentation for this package, if we scroll down to limitations, we can see that provider trigger renders only if the context value is referentially changed. So objects are referentially changed. So we must be careful with that. We need to select only primitive types, which object is not. And also, if we look inside limitations, we need to wrap our component around React Memo. So let's also import Memo from React and let's wrap it around it like this. So now our value is memoized, and if something changes for this current room data, let's say description, and inside this top component we only consume name, this component will not be updated when description will be changed. So this is it. One thing to point here is that, as I mentioned earlier, if we consume rooms context inside this component, and if something changes, the whole component will be re-rendered. So including this chat top, messages, and chat bottom. But because we use memo here to memoize our components, we significantly reduced the update tree. So only these wrapping divs will be updated on every change. Underlying components, chat top, messages, and chat bottom will not be rendered. So this is it. This is the caveats of Context API. Let's finish this video. So let's commit everything and let's put the next message. Created current room context with use context selector. All right, see you in the next one.